Good evening, everyone. I'm Officer Palos. Welcome to another episode of Bridging the Badge. With me today is my co-host, Officer Klimek. Both of us are part of the Community Outreach Unit with Las Cruces Police Department. Today, we have some special guests with us. Before I get into that, I'm going to go over some community guidelines in reference to this. So let's just keep in mind, it's going to be an inclusive environment. All community members are welcome to view and participate. Chat privacy. This is a public forum. So for some reason you would like to reach out to us and maybe do some follow-up, please leave your email and your information in our direct message and we'll get back to you. Just keep in mind, be respectful, be courteous, listen, and seek understanding. Stay on topic. This is going to ensure that we're productive and we stay focused on what our main issue and agenda is on this particular episode. So, like I said, with me is Officer Brian Klimek, Community Outreach. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, sir. Officer Klimek, Las Cruces Police Department. Very happy to be here. We're very fortunate to have representatives from the Drug Enforcement Agency to talk about a very important topic, something that is near and dear to every officer's heart because of the problems it creates, the fentanyl addiction that's been hitting Las Cruces lately. So I'll introduce Michelle Rincon. She is a community outreach specialist with the Drug Enforcement Agency, and she will introduce Jim here in a second. Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us here today. We have such important information to share with you this evening. So thank you for being here with us today. My name is Michelle Rincon. I'm the Community Outreach Specialist for the Drug Enforcement Administration, El Paso Division. We do cover the whole state of New Mexico, and we also cover 17 counties in West Texas. So about 50 counties in total. And my job, my role here is to really do outreach and to all of our communities. And with that, I'll go and introduce our Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Isaac Catalan.
Good evening, everybody. First, I did want to say thank you again to Larry and Brian for having us here, and for Michelle coming to talk to you all about this important message and the problems that we're having with fentanyl. My name is Jim Catalano. I have been with the Drug Enforcement Administration for about 27 years. I've been stationed in a variety of locations across the United States, and now my responsibility is the southern half of New Mexico. So we have a pretty good footprint here for DEA. We have somewhere around 40 agents and task force officers that work all of the counties in southern New Mexico. And again, I kind of oversee and have that responsibility to just try to provide that service to the community of Las Cruces and the surrounding cities in southern New Mexico.
Well, once again, thank you for being with us, guys. I believe you have a presentation you're gonna.
Yes, absolutely. So if we can go ahead and get that pulled up, we'll go ahead and start our presentation.
There you are.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I already introduced myself. If you could go ahead and switch the slide, please. So we're here to talk about an important topic today, right? It's really about the drug poisoning epidemic that we're seeing. It is one of our greatest national threats to not only our nation, but our communities here locally, statewide. We are seeing so much of an overdose and poisoning crisis regarding fentanyl, and that's what we're here to talk about. It has been affecting our public safety, public health especially, and it has become a national security threat. We will be discussing in this presentation fentanyl and also illicit substances. And if you have any questions, like they mentioned earlier, feel free to go ahead and ask in the chat. So unfortunately, a lot of these news headlines seem familiar. A lot of families in the country, even statewide, locally, have been going through family losses because they have been taking fake pills and they've been losing an aunt, uncle, brother, sister, mother, father. And it's due to these fake pills that drug traffickers are bringing into our area, into our country. And so, according to the CDC, which we'll see here in a bit, more than 107,000 people have died from these fake pills. And so here we see the graphic here, like I mentioned, more than 107,000 deaths have occurred over the past year. More of those, or more than half of those, have been attributed to fentanyl or synthetic opioids. And then about 30% have been primarily attributed to methamphetamine or meth.
Michelle, at this point, if I could just add from a local level, since January to present, Las Cruces police officers have basically saved 35 lives by administering 35 doses of Narcan. So it gives you kind of a sense of the what we're seeing as first responders on the street. And that number is probably much higher when you include what fire and ambulance services do. So that's a little snapshot of what the numbers look like at the local level.
Not to mention also, like, I know they give it out at like the health department, so
Yeah.
there's no accountability for that as well, like
Right.
self, you know.
And we'll go into Narcan a little bit later in the presentation. It's a little demonstration on that.
Thank you for that information. So in the El Paso division, as I said, El Paso to Midland to Odessa, we cover, of course, all of New Mexico and then West Texas. DEA, in 2022, DEA has seized more illicit fentanyl than the previous 5 years combined. And that's quite a bit. Right now, the seizures are just increasing year after year, and we'll see that here in a bit with some different graphics and visuals that we have for you. So this slide might seem a little familiar to most of you who are here on the call who are watching us. This is a very enlarged pencil. If you have a pencil in front of you, it'd be helpful to go ahead and put it or go ahead and see it, because the tip of that pencil contains 2 milligrams of fentanyl. And that much fentanyl is deadly to a person. That is a deadly dose of fentanyl. And I know it seems a little bit tricky right now with the image because it's such an enlarged pencil. So it seems like a lot, but really, if you take a look at that pencil, it's really not. It's a very, very tiny amount. It's very potent. Maybe a lot of you know that fentanyl is 50 times stronger than heroin and 100 times more stronger than morphine. And that is true because this is a very powerful synthetic opioid. So the DEA in 2021 took the unusual step of publishing a public safety alert. And the DEA doesn't do this very often. It does this when they know that there's a very dangerous threat to the community. In this case, fentanyl, because they were seeing a very high increase in overdoses and poisonings for this. And so back in 2021, in September, they issued out this public safety alert. It was first emerging as a dangerous and deadly threat. It was killing a lot of people, so that's when this alert came out. So let's talk about a few common fake pills that we are seeing. It's not just the oxycodone that we're seeing. We are seeing different pills. So we have oxycodone, which is kind of also the same as oxycodone. We have Adderall. We have Xanax, oral prazolam. All of these fake pills are being made by drug cartels, and they're being made to look like actual prescription pills. The difference, so the huge difference, is that they actually have fentanyl, which more than a deadly dose of them inside of that fake pill. Okay, so let me ask everyone out there in the audience right now, which one do you think is the real oxycodone? If you had to guess, we have 2 pictures on the top and then 2 pictures on the bottom. Can anyone guess the real oxycodone? What about you, officers?
Well,
what do you think?
Oh, we come in contact quite often.
Well, having watched the PowerPoint already, I know the answer, and I can tell you that I was wrong. What I thought was authentic was actually fake.
Okay.
So I haven't watched the PowerPoint, so I'm going to go ahead and guess it's the bottom 2.
It's actually the real oxycodone is actually the top 2. So we have the front of the pill and the back of the pill.
Next.
So the very top 2 pills are the actual real prescription pills. The ones on the bottom are fake pills, which means that they have fentanyl in them and other illicit drugs probably mixed in.
And I'll also add at this point, Michelle, that this is what we're seeing on the street, these blue pills with the M30 marking on it. There's another street named for the multicolored stuff, which they call confetti. We're not seeing that. We're not seeing the powder form. So this is what we're seeing, these M30 blue pills. And along with that, your users are going to have foil in their pocket with burn marks on it. And straws, the just typical drinking straw. That's what they use to burn and consume the stuff and get high on. So if you see an alley or a dark corner behind a dumpster or something like that, and you're seeing this stuff, or you see this in your child's backpack or something, this is evidence of fentanyl use.
Thank you for that. Okay, so next we have Xanax, or what's typically known as a Xanax bar. Can anyone tell me, or what about you officers, can someone tell me which one is a real Xanax and which one is the fake Xanax?
Well, I know working backup patrol, I came across the bottom one. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I'm gonna have to say the bottom one.
The bottom one is fake. That's right. So it looks like we got someone in the chat who guessed it right. The top one is a real Xanax. So yes, that's correct. And you know, the point of this or of these visuals is to really make a point, right? Is that you can't really tell which one's real, which one's not. It's not really by the shape or the color or the size of the pill. It really takes laboratory testing. I can tell you that we've done this presentation with pharmacists and they're not able to tell which one's which because there's just no way. The cartels are unfortunately doing a good job of tricking, you know, people into believing that these are real prescription pills. Okay, so right here in this image right here, we have a actual fentanyl clinical lab setting. Fentanyl is actually used in the clinical setting by doctors, nurses. It is actually a legitimate medication, but it is a controlled medication. This laboratory is very pristine. I mean, you can tell it's very clean. It looks nice, even very shiny. Doctors and the medical field use fentanyl for different things, right? They may use it for colonoscopies. They may use it for a woman who might be in labor. Sometimes patients who have cancer and who are on their deathbed, you know, they require opioid lollipops with fentanyl in them. So fentanyl is a legitimate medication. However, we're not talking about this fentanyl, right? We're talking about the illicit fentanyl, which is made in these kinds of settings. So this is, yeah, definite yikes is the right word. This is actually where drug cartels are making their fentanyl. So in the middle of jungles, apartments, garages, you know, Airbnbs, you name it, they could be there making fentanyl. And so this is not very clean. It's very opposite to what we saw before, right? Where it was very pristine, very clean. This is not controlled at all. This just shows you that, you know, if another life is taken, it's just the cost of doing business, unfortunately. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into some stats really quick. Really what DEA has been seeing is that this shows you the percentage of tablets containing 2 milligrams or more of fentanyl. So as I mentioned before, if everyone remembers that pencil that we saw earlier with the fentanyl on top of the tip, that is 2 milligrams. So right now about 61% of pills seized contain 2 milligrams or more of fentanyl. Now, that's about roughly 6 out of 10. However, we did just receive word from our headquarters not too long ago that average has changed. It is now 7 out of 10 pills that we are seeing or that have been seized that contain 2 milligrams or more of fentanyl. So it's just increasing. It is not decreasing at all, like how we see here in 2019, that was 26%, so 2 out of 10 pills, and it just kept getting higher and higher over the years. This is just another visual of what I just described. So basically, you know, 6 out of 10 DEA tested pills. In this case, now it's 7 out of 10, like I mentioned before, that could contain a potentially lethal dose or more than that dose. Okay, so the average fentanyl dose in tablets like the average, is 2.4 milligrams. And if anyone remembers, the dose or the deadly dose is 2 milligrams. So now we have gone up from 1.6 milligrams found in the average pill in 2018. Then we went up to 2.2. And then now what we have found is about 2.4. That's 0.4 more than the deadly dose. That's quite a bit. So if someone, especially an opioid naive person, were to take a fentanyl pill or a fake pill, they would more than likely overdose from such a strong opioid pill, fake pill. Okay, so we have this additional threat, right? If anyone owns a smartphone, which I'm sure here we all do, right? There's that additional threat of access. The Sinaloa cartel and CJNG are selling these fake pills on social media sites, which are very popular with students and young adults who like to share their stories and pictures, but they've also become popular platforms for cartels who use these to sell their illicit products. So as one of our officers was saying before, if you're seeing something suspicious with your kid, talk to them. It's very important to talk to your kid at an early age. SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse Mental Health Administration, recommends talking to your kid at 9 years old about drugs, about prevention, like what they are, how they affect your body. So it's never too early to talk to your kids. So if you're seeing something suspicious, go ahead and talk to them, because there is this additional threat where kids and youth are being targeted. So drug traffickers and those seeking to sell these fake pills are using a whole nother language. So as you see here on this slide, we have different emojis that mean different things. Different acronyms, texting emojis on smartphones to communicate about what they're selling, about what those emojis could mean. This is something, an example, right, of a part of a communication that they could be using. Now, we're not saying that this is exactly what they're using, but does give you an idea of how they could be or are communicating when they're wanting to sell or buy drugs. We're going to watch a quick video next, so just bear with us for a minute.
Well, we are back with a tragedy for a California family that's shining a light on something that many parents may not know about, but definitely should.
Yeah, it turns out young people are able to find drugs on popular social media sites, including Snapchat. NBC's senior national correspondent Kate Snow is here with a really tragic story of that very thing happening. Kate, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Savannah. This is a nightmare for parents. Dr. Laura Berman is well known for her expertise on love and relationships. She was a frequent guest here on Today. But on Sunday, she and her husband lost their 16-year-old son, and they're speaking out because they want every parent and every child to know the danger of buying pills on Snapchat.
It's a lethal combination, teens and 20-somethings stuck at home during the pandemic and drug dealers using Snapchat to push a deadly product.
I didn't intend for us to be on the news. I just felt helpless. All I was thinking about is that this couldn't happen again. And I was so furious and helpless.
For years, Dr. Laura Berman has offered advice on matters of the heart. On Instagram Monday, it was her own heart breaking. My beautiful boy is gone, 16 years old, sheltering at home. A drug dealer connected with him on Snapchat and gave him fentanyl-laced Xanax, and he overdosed in his room.
He asked his dad for a cheeseburger, and an hour later, I went into his room because we've been talking about an internship for the summer that he wanted to do, and he was on the floor and gone.
I'm so sorry. Sammy was a football player, a junior who was into business and just built a biosphere in his bedroom.
He was always doing little projects and full of intellectual curiosity and excitement for the future.
But Laura and her husband Sam also say Sammy was cooped up during the pandemic and bored. They say he wanted to experiment and found a menu of drugs for sale on Snapchat.
This big colorful menu came up with some man with a Twitter handle who was promising to bring it by your house. Each different drug had a different color, the way a kid would love to see it. And Snapchat is for the kids.
Do you think your son knew he was ordering fentanyl?
No way.
No.
The DEA says people are ordering pills by common names like Xanax, but they're actually made of fentanyl, often manufactured in Mexico. Ed Ternan and his wife Mary have been keeping a tally of the fentanyl deaths they hear about tied to Snapchat, 20, including their son, Charlie. He died 3 weeks before college graduation last May.
They just are greedy and they want to make a profit and they don't care that our kids are dying all the time.
I'm sorry.
And it's just, every day is so hard. We just miss them so much.
They founded the nonprofit Song for Charlie to warn others.
Snapchat's not the only platform where these kinds of pills and other drugs are sold, but it is certainly the most popular platform among retail drug dealers.
So you think they're targeting young people?
Absolutely.
I think that if social media wants to pretend to be responsible, this is a great place for them to change their behavior. The big tech is not taking responsibility for helping the police find the dealer.
Snapchat expressed its deepest sympathies and said in part, "We are committed to working together with law enforcement in all instances where Snapchat is used for illegal purposes. We are constantly improving our technological capabilities to detect drug-related activity."
But when they see our son and can relate to him and see what happened to him, you know, maybe it will sink in. And if it helps one kid, it's worth it.
Laura and Sam say that is the only reason they agreed to speak with us at such a terrible time. Ed and Mary are actively involved with many families who've lost children, and they say they want to work with Snapchat. They think they could help Snapchat better understand what's happening out there and make changes to make it harder for illegal drugs to be advertised there. Guys.
Kid, it's just such a heartbreaking story on so many levels. Any tips for parents who are watching or listening? Any tips to look out for?
And it's hard as a parent of teenagers. I can tell you the biggest tip is to talk with your kids. I did it yesterday about the danger of fentanyl and how it's often packaged or sold as something else. Laura and Sam also wish that they had known more about what Sammy was doing on Snapchat. Like a lot of parents, they didn't even know the passcode for his phone, so they're now waiting for Apple to help unlock it. But they told me that can't even happen until there's a death certificate. It's just so heartbreaking on so many levels, guys.
Okay, thanks for that video, Michelle. Very tragic stories, very sad. And I can say that we are blessed and fortunate to where our schools, our high schools, our middle schools, we have no incidences of fentanyl getting down into that level. But again, be mindful of some of the clues and evidence that I mentioned, to always be on the lookout because it can happen. We'll go into a couple of story and about where it is, what population it is impacting, and it's our young adults up through middle age, and a lot of them are homeless, disadvantaged one way or another. But this story involves a 22-year-old young lady that's not even from here. I'm not sure how she arrived here, but got herself connected to one of the places in town that it has high drug activity. If you want to get dope, this is where you go, and that's where we always ran into her. So we tried to, myself and Officer Paulus tried to intervene with her with petty misdemeanor criminal charges, getting her into court, and instead of jail time, tried to plug her into community service, court costs, something to impose responsibility on her that would take up some time and reduce the amount of time that she had on the street to get back mixed up with these drugs. Well, it didn't work. And she, this about 3 weeks ago, she overdosed at this same property where she was not supposed to be at and passed away a few days later. So another tragic story, young life lost, and just unable to get out of this. This addiction is so powerful and so strong that you're going to need outside resources, which we'll talk about in a little bit, to help you with it. And I think Larry has a story he wants to share as well.
And it was very unfortunate for her. I know I would make multiple attempts to stop and check out with her, talk. And even when I was giving her the criminal citation, I remember speaking and telling her, I'm like, look, My goal isn't just to put you in jail. My goal is to get you help because I know you're not going to help yourself. Therefore, if I get you in front of a judge, maybe that will light that fire and spark that initiative to help yourself and do better. But unfortunately, we didn't get that far with her. Another example was another male subject that myself and Officer Rodriguez, who was also one of our community outreach officers as well, we were working with this particular subject who was not even a fentanyl user. He was heavy into alcohol, but unfortunately his residence became a place of all sorts of criminal activity. I mean, you name it, it was happening there. We worked with him for about 2 years. We got him into rehab for his alcohol problem. He got back out. He sold his properties. He was out of that neighborhood. And then we find out later that he went from alcohol to fentanyl use, and then he eventually overdosed and passed away. Very unfortunate because this individual was very talented. He was, I believe he was doing HVAC and plumbing, and he was very knowledgeable. And it was just so sad to see him just go like that in such a horrific manner.
Yeah, no, those are such tragic stories. Thank you for sharing those with us. Substance use disorders are such a big thing, when it comes to people who get hooked on these substances, unfortunately. And so I know that you mentioned we're going to be talking about those resources a little bit later. So until then, we'll go ahead and continue with our PowerPoint presentation. And this is the whole reason, why DEA has launched this One Pill Can Kill awareness campaign, because DEA has seen the need in the community where we need to bring prevention and awareness to everyone out there, to all of you who are listening to us right now. And so we do want to ask you that we do need your help. We need your help to please help us spread the word, help us share the dangers associated with these illicit vape pills, connect people with information and resources related to these vape pills, to illicit fentanyl, and to meth, in an effort to drive down these stats. Because essentially, we are just one administration. I am just one person, but if we all work together, spreading this word, this message, we can eventually make a difference. So just a few things that I would like you to take away from this presentation. Know the dangers and accessibility of deadly drugs online, right? DEA stands by the statement that no one should really take any kind of medication or pill if it's not coming from a legitimate doctor or a trusted pharmacy. If it's not coming from any of those two sources, then it is not a safe pill to take or safe medicine to take. If it does not have your name on it, you should not be sharing it with anyone. That's a big thing. I know that, sometimes our culture, we like to share pills because we have back pain one day and we like to share it with our aunt or sister or someone else. That's unfortunately a big no-no because everybody is different. So we don't know how everybody is going to react. Also, talk to your family and friends about the danger of buying drugs online or even Snapchat, social media. Talk to your kids. It's so important to talk to your kids. I know that sometimes it can be awkward, having that conversation about drugs, but there are so many resources online. We're going to share some websites and some resources where they can help you, start that conversation with your kids. And then finally, just spread the word that one pill can kill. It only takes one fake pill with enough dosage of fentanyl. That's enough to kill a person. Okay, so here we have our slides of resources. DEA has these resources for you all out there. They're completely free. We do have several publications and some of these resources where you can order some publications for your school, your business, even for yourself, and we'll send those to you. The first one is Just Think Twice. So that website is facts about drugs for teens. It's a very savvy, very cool website for teens that they can go in there and learn about drugs and what they do to their body. We have, the next one is Campus Drug Prevention. That website is for campus colleges for resources. We have a very nice manual that tells campuses how to start their own prevention program on their campuses. If you want one in print, let me know. I'll have my contact information at the very end, and we'll go ahead and send one over to you. The next one is Get Smart About Drugs. That's my favorite website because that's where you can get all of our publications for free. So we have a drug of abuse books, we have fact cards, fact sheets, on all sorts of drugs, fentanyl, fake pills, methamphetamine, ketamine, anything that you can think of, it's probably in there. And we also have a parent guide as well. So if you want to go in there and check it out, you can download it as a PDF or order one for print for free. And then last one, we have Operation Prevention, that those are bilingual resources for students, teens, and the community. Basically what that is that it's a very, very cool resource for teachers. If you're a teacher or if you're somewhere in the education realm, go ahead and check out that website because we have curriculum for Operation Engage as well, Operation Prevention. We have some very cool field trips for kids. We have lesson plans for teachers as well.
Thanks, Michelle. That was very informative. Thank you very much. One of the resources, a new resource that the police department has is Ideal Options. There's going to be some information at the very end of the presentation on contact information for that organization. As we sort of wind down, we'll open the general discussion up with the panel here, and we may have some questions coming in. We talked about a lot about overdoses with fentanyl, but if you look at the sort of the long-term effects that fentanyl addiction has on an individual, it creates a huge obstacle for getting housing, permanent housing, being able to successfully live on your own independently. It stands in the way of employment. It ruins families, and you tend to commit crimes because you become almost unemployable. You may become homeless, and this addiction is, every 3 hours you need to use this stuff, and somehow you have to fund that. And that typically, in order to do that, you're looking at probably getting into property crimes, shoplifting, burglaries, and things of this. So it impacts the entire community. My experience with fentanyl is that it's been on the ground here in the city of Las Cruces around 5 to 6 years. Jim may have some more insight on that. I can remember before, when there was no fentanyl, it was all heroin and meth, and I can't even remember the last time I've seen heroin. You may have heard about Trank, street name, which is xylazine laced into fentanyl. We're not seeing that very much here, fortunately. And so, yeah, we'll sort of wind things down a little bit. I think Larry's got, you've got a couple of items to talk about here.
Yes, so along with the overdose of fentanyl, there's ways to combat that for the most part. And I know every officer in the Las Cruces Police Department is equipped with Narcan. So I'm going to do a quick little, I guess you call it demonstration, but yes, this is our Narcan right here. Pretty simple to administer. It's a little plunger type of device here. Use your fingers, place it around the tip. You want to put it up to the nose, and the plunger at the bottom you're going to press and administer the dose of Narcan. So this is something that we use quite frequently on the streets because of the fact we're coming in contact with so much overdose, so much fentanyl use, and such.
If I might, I might add just a little comment about Narcan. And the way that I like to try to talk to people about Narcan is that it's a temporary solution, right? It's a very temporary solution. I kind of always equate it to like a tourniquet to kind of stop the bleeding. You still need to take someone to the hospital. If there's an overdose that has occurred, absolutely. If you have Narcan, you know how to utilize it, absolutely do that. And it will reverse the effects rather quickly. But that does not mean that you should not go ahead and transport them to the hospital because it's going to wear off and then it could potentially come back. And so I always just like to insert that so that people don't think it's kind of the miracle fix. Yeah. And so just want to make sure they kind of understand that.
That's very true. I appreciate that.
I believe a question came in, Larry, where you can get Narcan? Where can citizens obtain it?
I believe the health department is a good source for that as well. And I know some of them are, maybe our EMTs or our fire department may have some. Not too sure, don't quote me on that, but definitely the health department is where you could get that from.
And of course, you can purchase that at a pharmacy. Any other questions?
If we have just a second, no, I just would like to circle back to one thing here, and I would like to offer up DEA's willingness to come out and talk to any group, any organization here in Las Cruces. This is a great platform for us to kind of reach a mass audience, but we really do want to come out and educate. Michelle is great. She's super passionate about this. So anytime, I hope that the contact information that we put up there earlier, that some folks kind of jotted that down. I wanted to just have that open invitation to the public here in Las Cruces. I like to come do these things. Michelle loves to come do these things. We want to educate. We want to get that message out there to people. And then the last thing that I wanted to say that I kind of was reminded as you all were kind of going through this, you know, October is when we celebrate. I guess celebrate's not really the right word, but we acknowledge and remember Red Ribbon. And so what used to kind of be Red Ribbon Week has kind of turned into Red Ribbon Month now. We are really good partners with the New Mexico National Guard Counter Drug Strike Task Force here, the Joint Task Force. And these guys are amazing. They go out to all of the schools here in Las Cruces. And I believe starting this Friday, I think we have back-to-back events starting Friday and for the next 10 or 12 days. We're going to be hitting elementary schools, middle schools, and even high schools. These guys, they'll bring in their helicopter, will land in some of these schools, we'll be landing on the football fields. The kids love it. We're going to have tables. I'll be out there. A lot of the agents from this area will be out there, and the National Guard guys that kind of spearhead this thing. Those guys will be out there with us, and you guys as well. So I just wanted to put that on there. It was one of the things that I know you guys were going to talk about Takeback. So I'll let y'all do that too.
Thank you, Jim.
Yes, yeah, the National Guard, we've had the pleasure working with them a couple of events.
They're really an awesome crew. Yeah,
they really helps out a lot. So on that topic, Takeback. So we got a couple of drug takebacks taking place on October 28th. A couple locations we have is going to be 2700 West Picacho. That's going to be at the Walgreens, and that's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Neighborhood Walmart located at 150 Sonoma Ranch Boulevard, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. as well. The Walmart Supercenter at 3331 Recanada Boulevard, that's going to be 10 to 2 p.m. And of course, our farmers market, that's going to be Las Cruces downtown, 8 o'clock to about 1 p.m. as well. So it's a great event. Anybody who has like excess pills that's not in use, especially prescription pills.
Absolutely.
Yes. You have an abundance of that, bring it on down. It's a judgment-free zone. You just bring it and dispose of it. And for whatever reason, that may not be something you want to do. We also have another option. We have what we call these deter bags. So what this is a drug deactivation system. So you come by, you pick this up, you take this back home, you put any kind of unused prescription drugs inside of it. You put some water, warm water, wait 30 seconds, and it pretty much deactivates the prescribed drug, and then you can just throw it away in your trash can and not have to worry about maybe somebody getting a hold of it and possibly getting sick or overdosing on that. So this is another option if you don't feel comfortable bringing the prescription drugs to us. So this will be available at every site as well.
Great, thank you so much. And that pretty much kind of wraps it up. Thank you so much, Michelle Rincon and Jim Catalano for coming here and helping us spread this information. Information is power.
Yes.
Power. An educated citizen is an empowered citizen, and we're all on the same side. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Larry, what's next?
Well, at this point, I'd just like to invite everybody else who's currently participating with us for our next Bridging the Badge event, which is going to take place, I believe, November 15th. So, and it's going to be a recruiting event. So you'll be able to meet and greet with it's our sergeant who oversees the recruiting department. If you have any kind of questions in regards to applications or the police department, this would be the time to ask them, get educated in that as well. So I'd like to thank everybody for attending and thank our special guests as well.
Our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.